Welcome to the October 17th, 2022 Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Let's start with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Cranston. Commissioner McDowell.
Here.
Commissioner Lean.
Here.
Commissioner Tate.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Bakes. Commissioner Wood.
Okay, thank you. Jim, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Has anybody on the commission have any conflict of interest with any of the agenda items this evening?
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll move on. Has everyone had an opportunity to read our July 18th minutes? Are there a need?
Make a motion to, I'm sorry,
Go
make
ahead.
a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second for the approval. Any amendments needed? All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are deemed approved. Okay, staff comments. Bill, what do you got for us this evening?
Well, just some updates. One item on the agenda we need to strike, item 9. Monty's under the weather, so he will not be here. We'll just pick that up next time we meet. I think I'm going to go to a podium because I can't see as well as I used to. I want to use that little screen over there, the computer, so I can speak to all the pictures I've got for you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Would you enter that in the permanent file, please?
So I just want to give you guys an update on some of the things we've been working on out in the parks with some of our other divisions, just not parks. So recently, Tinka and Sandy are here tonight to talk a little bit about what they've been up to, but they helped us with this item here. This was from a gentleman by the name of Brian Green. He has a company called Active. And this was an outdoor exercise equipment that we put along the trail near Riverstone as you get down to overlook where the dog park is at Atlas. So he gifted this to the foundation, and the foundation is putting together a memorandum to gift it to us. And so Brian was really good to work with. We've been talking about this. It seems like there was still white stuff on the ground when we first began this discussion. I've always wanted to have some trail exercise equipment. It's kind of expensive. This is kind of expensive too, but he was kind enough to gift it to us. So that's what we have there. It's designed, there's some areas here that you can bring in your own straps. It's like for climbers if they wanted to stimulate what they were going to do when they're on a rock face, and straps. Outside this area, on this side or the other side where the picture's taken from, they're going to have a sign with a QR code that gives you some instruction and the variability that how you can exercise on it. And they're still working on that. That's going to be installed here within the next couple of weeks, I think. So, any questions about that item?
No, it's a great addition.
Yeah. This is a restroom at Persons. This is where we've been playing football this year. This has been under construction for some time. It is a men's and ladies and a family. This is similar style that we put in at City Park. Same sort of stuff. It fits in real nice. A little bit more less. It's a low profile. We've got an ADA ramp on this side, a drinking fountain. On the back side next year, I'm going to get, hopefully have some funding, and we'll get a ADA ramp off a garden that goes up from the street. And at some point here in the next couple of years, from here down to the west, as you may recall, we had a master plan that showed for some on-street parking and parking that Scott worked on. He has drawn that up for us down in that southwest corner. That area would become a parking lot as well. So we're chipping away at the master plan. We got the irrigation installed a few years ago, the playground equipment. We've been adding more trees, and now we've added the new restroom. So that's up and running as of last weekend. This is something that we've done in the cemetery. Robert Cooper along with Czar Thacker, had worked on the installation of these and the pavers. We did, if you remember, we had a cart path that went right through the middle of the two loops. We eliminated that cart path one year and put barricades up to see what the results of that being closed were, if the public was using that more than we were. And it turned out that the public didn't really have anything negative to say about it, so we closed it. And this is going to be our future here. Right now we have, I think, room for another 15 of these walls. So we started selling these as soon as we opened them up. We had a dozen waiting. As soon as we opened it up, we had sales of over 12, I guess it was, right? So these have been very popular in this location. Everybody wants to be in Forest, and that's where this is. So we've planted trees in Riverview to try and make it as attractive. I guess it's all about location, location, location. And the trees over there in Riverview aren't as big yet, but someday they will be. So now this was an interesting one. This is a phone charger. So we took an existing outlet. This is at the skate park. And under here is a USB plug-in to charge your phone. Somebody approached Councilman McEvers, excuse me, and asked why we don't have any phone charging stations. I said, oh, that's not a bad idea. I don't see why not. So Adam Kritko, our building maintenance supervisor, and his team, Tom Franklin, a new hire. Tom's been with us about 5 months, maybe 6. So we said, here's what I want you to do. Take one of the existing outlets and turn it into a USB hub for phone charging. But we need some sort of shelving for it. So he happened to find an old skateboard. And so he cut the skateboard apart in pieces. And these are wheels, and these are wheels. And so what you're seeing is that people can put their phone on here, open it up, and then plug into it. So he repurposed an old skateboard. I thought that was pretty creative of him. Ice rink is coming back. They're setting it up. They're supposed to be up and running the first weekend of November. So everybody, it's been good weather for him. I went out there and spoke with Jerome a couple different times. His team's loving putting it up this year. Last year it was raining like cats and dogs, and so much so that they couldn't even build the ice. So he had to shut down for a while until it stopped raining so he could build the ice. He kept trying to run it, and then it kept raining and thawing the ice and thawing the ice. So this year, hopefully, he'll get this. He's got the rink up, the walls are up, and he'll start making ice, I think, near the last weekend of this month. This is another project that Ignite helped us with, some repairs here at McEwen. Adam Kritko bird dog this is the stairs right outside here at the library. They were spalding and cracking really badly, and so we had a company come in and resurface the whole thing, and that's the results of their work. And Adam had been bird dogging this for 3 or 4 months, having to kind of get in underneath the different weather problems they were running up against, but we got her done finally. And then last Saturday, we had an opportunity to recognize, if you recall, I came to you with Dwight Bershaw Bench Memorial, and we did that this weekend. It was installed. The mayor spoke. I spoke. There were some other folks there talking about Dwight and their experiences with him. There was probably 150 people there on Saturday afternoon, and I don't know if you've seen it yet. It turned out really, really nice. Here's a close-up. This is the picture that you guys saw of Dwight when I did a presentation about this bench and concept, and this is it completed. And the Rotary Sunset Rotary that he worked with actually spearheaded this with Sandy Emerson and got this all together all through donations. And it's a great tribute to a guy, and I think I'll tell you the story again, but he would contact me in the early morning hours. Dwight had a tendency to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning and take walks in the park from here all the way to City Park, and would leave me text messages at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning that a broken sprinkler 65 feet west of the band shell was busted. Sometimes I would get video of broken sprinklers. And one time I picked up, it was 3 in the morning, and he let me know that there was a problem with the K-27. and K-27, someone had turned off a valve, drained the basin, so the pump was dry heaving, and it sounded like a jet engine when Jeff Erickson and I got there about 3:30 that morning and got it turned off. No damage, but thanks to Dwight, we saved the day.
Yeah.
But I said on Saturday, I'm going to miss those 3 a.m. notices about a broken sprinkler. So anyway, that's all I've got for you. And that's a little bit closer shot of Dwight and his big old smile.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's it.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Great projects.
Yeah. All right. Commissioner comments. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Okay. Bill, I did just have one. We'd had some issues over the course of the summer with vandalism for some of our park facilities.
Yes, we
Have
did.
there been any progress on getting that to subside, or are we catching folks? What's going on there?
Some, catching some. The kids that caught the playground on Bluegrass on fire, they were caught. So they're working through, there's a program that the fire department has for juveniles called, I forgot what it's called, but anyway, they walk them through some stuff, and so we're going to be seeking restitution. Fortunately, it was caught in time, and the whole structure didn't burn down, just one component. We have since reordered that component, and it'll get reinstalled here this fall. The trash can that same evening they tried to catch on, they caught on fire. It was near a block building, so the building didn't get caught on fire. We had to paint it up a little bit. But yeah, you may have seen in paper, I was also interviewed by CRIM 2, that it was probably the worst year overall. We always get vandalism. It's happened for my 23 years, 24 years. It just seems that it's on the increase. And our staff is really, really good about getting it fast. So nobody really knows about it. And I was hesitant to talk about it because I didn't want to bring light to it. But this year it just seemed a bit overwhelming. So I thought it would be good to ask for the public to keep their ears and their eyes open. And the public, the citizens out there have been really good about letting us know. As soon as we find it, we take care of it. If we don't know about it, we can't take care of it, so people will call us, and then when we find out about it, if it's on public property, we had a complaint here a month ago or so, it was on private land, want to know why we weren't taking care of it, but code enforcement went and spoke with the owners, and they took care of it, and so we do what we can, but an illustration that I gave to the guy from CRIM 2, we have irrigation heads out here at this park at McEwen that are $100 a piece. We had 15 of those broken in one night, along with 15 others that were only $50 a piece. So that happened in one evening. And so those are your tax dollars. And as I told the guy from CRIM 2, our staff is extremely proud of what they do. They love what they do, and they put their heart and soul into stuff. And they really want to present it as a gift, right? That's their job. They really love doing it. And then somebody tears it apart and vandalizes it, then they have to fix it again. It's very, very discouraging. But their spirits are good. Jeff and I do a good job at keeping them, patting them on the back, and they're not losing hope. I'm glad for that because they really are up against it. What'll happen is you get hung up trying to make repairs. And what happened to us this year, in restroom vandalism, for example, we didn't have the staff this year to work on it on the weekend, so they just lock them up. And we fall back the following week and get a team in there and take care of it and open it back up and then get vandalized again. So our turnaround is a little slower than it has been for those sorts of heavy vandalism where they're tearing off the paper dispensers or lighting them on fire or just vandalizing and graffiti and, breaking sinks and toilets and that kind of thing. So it's been an interesting season. But we've got through it, and the response to our team's ability to keep things up and running has been very good. And the staff, it's really nice when people thank them for it. It really puts a spring in their step.
Good.
But so
Good.
we're doing well.
Yeah, we'll pass on our appreciation
you
for
bet.
what they do as well.
Absolutely.
Because that is a big hurdle to have to keep crossing
Yeah.
each and every time it happens.
Right.
And have to hand it to them for their stick-to-itiveness.
Right.
Because that's a terrible cost to the taxpayers. And
Yep, it is.
obviously, it's a significant cost in terms of morale for staff, too.
Yep.
So, yeah. hopefully we can maybe catch a few more of them and provide some examples of what could happen should someone else think about doing that sort of thing.
You know, and we've had actually talked with the juvenile probation officers. We used to do some restitution work, and it's a sad statement in that it's not very effective. And the reason I believe it's not very effective, now this is my nickel psychology here, is that the parents don't really give these children a what for about what they did. And we've done this in the past where they'll try and work it off. And so we'll put them on a detail, let's say on the 4th of July, to help pick up the litter on the 5th of July, or even throughout the day. The couple of times we've tried that, the kids disappear. And I could even say from the onset of that, when I could tell that they were probably going to disappear because the folks' attitude was such that it was no big deal, and it would hardly be bothered to even be there, almost, attitude. So I could see how that would be translated into the child, and that's, you know, but, so what I've done from here on out is I'm not willing to do that sort of restitution work. I want capital so we can make the repairs, and so that's what we've been doing here in the last several years.
Yeah, maybe those parents that maybe didn't think it was such a big deal might think it is if they had to pay
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, you can only hope.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Any other comments or questions? Okay, with none, we have an opportunity for the public comments. Does anybody from the audience have any comments that they would like to make that are not associated with any of the items on the agenda? Please state your name and address for the record.
Mike Gridley, 610 South Dollar Street, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Well, I came to talk to Bill, who's one of my favorite people, and Doug before him, just complimenting you guys on what a great job. Many of you have been on this board for a long time and done a great job. And I'm really here on behalf of my dog, who we went to the dog park yesterday. Beautiful. Whoever's controlling the weather's doing a great job. And it was just so much fun to see big dogs, small dogs, all shapes, sizes, ages, playing. And there was one Labrador that was just out there swimming circles in the river. They were just so happy. But anyway, do a great job. And I talked to Bill, too, about I'm working on a project to extend the riverfront trail down there from where it ends in Atlas, try and take it on down to Mill River. And so we'll try and come back next meeting, but just want to give you a little bit of a heads up about that. But mainly, I got thinking about city council and sat through a lot of council meetings, obviously, and usually the only people that come with public comments is because they got a problem. And they never come and say, thank you for your service, and what a wonderful park system we have. And I did talk to Bill about the moose on Sanders Beach, but he said, there's nothing we can do about that. So I'll give him a pass on that, but he's a prince of a guy. So anyway.
Thank you,
all I
Mike.
got.
Mike, thank you so
Mike.
much.
So much.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we'll move on from that. We have now a presentation from the Panhandle Parks Foundation. Who's going to speak on that behalf, Bill?
We've got Sandy Young, who is the president, and Tinka Schaefer, who is the person that seems to get it all done. I don't know how she does it all.
Okay.
So they're just going to give an update on what they've been up to that helps our park system.
Wonderful. Well, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to see you. Before I launch into it, I was also at Atlas Park yesterday and took my 2 young grandsons to the new white structure that you saw. And even without the QR code, there were so many families. I was probably there 30, 45 minutes with the boys who found their own 100 exercises to do. But the whole point, and I think Bill emphasized this when we were out there with the press, is that it's so family-oriented. So we saw a couple of dads doing pull-ups. We saw mostly kids just climbing all over it while the parents were all standing there talking to each other. So it was great. It was
Cool.
pretty exciting. So I'm Sandy Young, and I'm the president of Panhandle Parks Foundation. And I'll give you just a brief history and tell you just a little bit about us, and then Tinka will dive into all the projects that we have going on. She has been at this a long time, so she has more knowledge than I do on it, so we'll leave that part to her. So we're dedicated to just enhancing the parks, facilitating acquisitions, supporting parks, open space, and really working with the city to make sure that we are giving a helping hand to Bill. So if he gets a request, for instance, maybe it's a donor for the donor wall, somebody wants to have their name on it, that usually goes to Tinka. She collects all those, collects the money for it, and then we have an engraver come once a year and put those names on the wall. So I'm the president. Sean Bennett of Grace Tree Service is our vice president. Corky Myers, one of our directors. Erica Grubbs, Dr. Don Chisholm, Wes Veach, and then Bill's our liaison, and Tinka serves as our ex officio board member. I did not know this, even though I've been on the board for probably 5 years, but 94% of the money that we bring in goes back into the mission. So I know we have no overhead because we have no paid employees. Tinka does what she does as a volunteer. There's some contract services. We have a bookkeeper. We pay a CPA to just file a tax return for us. And then Tinka does some of the mailings and things like that require some funds, but it's a pretty small amount of money. Right now, our land holdings are Veterans Centennial Park, so that's 16 acres, as you probably know, on Fernan Hill. You can park, walking trails. And then the Fernan Natural Area, which is 47 acres of open space, and again, meant just as pedestrian trail, a place to park, was dedicated, and the point being that it's just preserved open space in perpetuity. One of, I would say our main function is that when someone wants to donate land, that land comes to us and we hold it. So we hold it by deed, and then the city's actually able to apply for grants and get the money to make improvements there. And then, and Tinka, correct me if I'm wrong, but we can then pass it over to the city, deed it to the city, or we can continue to hold it. Our fees for holding it are very small. We pay the assessor's office a very small amount. I think it's like for fire, just fire insurance fees. There's no taxes on it. So, and then we have one future project coming up, and that is a new park in Rathdrum. And I don't have all the details on that yet. It's still a few years out, but it is land that's been donated and then will be developed into a park.
Okay.
Good job, Sandy. Good to see all of you. And Sandy, you and I joined this wonderful PPF at the same time, so I might be older than you, but we've been on the board the same time.
She's way smarter.
No, it's been a joy, and I love our parks and the people here, and I've been here for years and years, and I can tell you off the top of my head of a couple that lives above in this big tower, and an attorney and a judge who've traveled all over and lived in other parts. And when we were working with them, they said, we have been to almost every park in America, and this is, without a doubt, the city has the most beautiful parks I've ever seen. Oh. And they said, we look down on this park, and I want to tell you that director man that runs the whole thing has everybody working. There are no folks sitting around sloughing. They're working all the time to keep it perfect. So that was quite a compliment for Bill. So in the very beginning, we had a memorandum of understanding when Coeur d'Alene Parks Foundation was formed, and it was in the minutes that you folks will help us financially a little bit, and we keep you from having to pay for media, marketing, and extra labor to help the parks. And not after the Kroc Center was finished, which was our first project, as you remember, the grant could not go to a religious organization as in the Salvation Army, so they formed the foundation so that we could get that large grant in collaboration with the Kroc folks. So that was our first big thrill. I was not on the board at that time, but came about shortly after that, and it's just a fabulous facility. Then it was changed to, legally, we changed it to the Panhandle Parks Foundation, so we could branch out and reach out to other smaller towns. As she said, we've had communications with Rathdrum and some other folks who have dedicated development, but they must in time, at the finish of their development, donate back X number of acres for a park. And at that time, we'll get involved with helping with fundraising, giving the 501 nonprofit benefit to the donors, et cetera. So that's kind of what we are there for. We also have restricted all of our funding stream. We bank with First Interstate, and everything has a line item in our QuickBooks that is separated, so it's not commingled. For example, our K-27 project that we worked with the city on, we had our own individual account just for K-27. It's still open. We have $15 in that account, and keep it so that if Bill calls and says, oh, something's broke, we need a new whatever, we'll put the word out, try to get a little bit extra money and help with that so that we can keep that going. And that's been a wonderful thing to see and sit down there and look at how beautiful it is. Again, it's one of the prettiest water features I've ever seen. We do then give reports to Bill on a regular basis. The other account that we hold, it's still open, is our North Idaho Skate Park Association. We've helped hold all of their funds while they did their building, and they still have $509 with us. I've asked them every year, we give them a letter, and they say, no, please don't send it back to us. We want you to keep it because we think there's some little projects that we have that we're trying to finish up, so hold that for us. And we did hold quite a bit of funds for the North Idaho Central Workers Memorial, if you remember when that was built. And we carried those funds in a separate account for them, for materials and labor. And then they finished it, asked us to send them a check for the whole amount. And we completed that, passed on the $7,157 that remained in that account. It's zeroed out now, and we're not involved with any of their projects unless they ask us to start up again. At this time, at the end of at the end of September, we currently hold $32,333.99 for the city of Coeur d'Alene. And the bulk of those funds came in, as I said, for every single amenity, we had a different line item in QuickBooks. And we've all expended them out except for the sundial. And there was quite a bit of funding that came in on that sundial. Over $50,000 was the initial set, and we used it to pay for the funds that we got invoices for and we paid. So that one, I think, still has $26,929 in it, plus some other funds. So that we just this last 6 months raised $2,000 to $2,500 on 4 benches that were in McEwen Park. And when folks want to memorialize someone or name it to their family, we pay for the plaque. They pay that $2,000 or the $2,500 for those newer, nice metal benches. And then we order the plaque. We confirm that the folks approve of the writing on the plaque. I mean, it's probably 15 different communications back and forth and back and forth. And finally, when it's done, we submit it to Bill. He approves of it. He then sends it on to North Idaho Trophy, who sends it to the foundry. Then we get it back. I go and pick it up. Sometimes he picks it up and it gets installed. So that's what we've been doing. And during that, so we raised that for to over $8,000. And that fund, that amount of money went to the city because those were brand new benches when McEwen was built. So some of the older benches that are in other areas, like maybe Independence Point, they might restain them, and then we try to sell those for $500, and some of those funds we get to keep, but we pay for the plaque installation. And boy, has that ever gone up. The last 3 plaques we picked up, we got a bill for $792, so 3 plaques. Wow. So, but that's all right. That's what we're doing. That's what we're there for. So that's the latest in the funds that we hold for the city, and we'll continue to hold it until someone calls and says we need to repair something, or we need some new garbage cans or whatever. We also, as you know, we sometimes do naming rights for folks like the Thorco Field, and we have a memorandum of agreement with those folks, and they've done labor for free for the city, and in exchange, they just want us to extend the naming rights, and so they now have that Thorco Field guaranteed with a memorandum of understanding through 2034. And we hold those papers and we give him copies of it. So some of our other projects that we've gone through, maybe some of you folks aren't aware of, is the ICCU Riverstone Amphitheater. That was a big project. Money was raised, it came to us with some other supports to it. The invoice was paid for the canopy, and Bill's been working with the engineers to get that re-engineered, because the company that sent the canopy measured wrong and didn't take into consideration labor and all of that. You can clarify that with Bill, but he's working on it. He's hoping to get the pillars in so that before the weather freezes, and it maybe get done in 2023. 2023.
We're shooting for this spring.
Shooting
We're
for
going
the
to do the
spring.
install of the post this winter when the ground is solid. The posts have to go down, I think, 12 or 14 feet deep.
Oh,
And what Tinka was referencing was the shade structure doesn't match the layout of the posts. So I met with the manufacturer representative, and he understood the error of his ways, and what he's going to do is come out and measure after the posts are in, so it'll be custom made and fit. So, yeah, it actually works.
One of his many hats is an engineer. So our funding stream are these little things that we do, and then the major funding stream is the donor wall, which PPF paid for the installation of it, and we charge $500 per line, and we go through Wilbert Precast in Spokane, who have been wonderful. And as soon as we get enough names, he comes over and engraves them, and we have detailed forms that the folks all fill out so that they approve of exactly the wording, and I can't tell you how many phone calls, because, oh my gosh, my brother wants now to put Mama's name this way instead of that way, so can we please do that? And, back and forth, but it's okay.
That's what Tinka does
It's really fun to work with them, and I can't fit it in the box. Can you, get 2 more letters outside of the box? So we do that, and Wilbert says, oh, no problem, I'll just squeeze a little here and a little there, and we get it on. So everybody's happy, and it's beautiful, and it's there permanently, and it's a joy to see people bring their family members over and say, look, that's Grandma and Grandpa's name, and it's fun to have. So that's our biggest fundraiser, and then grants and the funding that we get from the city for the support. And any benches or trees that come in, Bill will shoot me an email. We work closely with the forestry person at the city and don't do anything outside of his written permission to move forward on it. But we do save the city a lot of labor and a time, because those donors want the one-on-one. They want to talk to somebody. They want to tell you their story, and it really does save a lot of time to not have one of the staff have to go down there when they really should be fixing something that somebody broke. So I think that's about it. We're going to be open to questions. I brought some business cards and a sheet with all of our contact information, and I'm going to lay it right over there at that table. So if you folks want to pick it up, and you have our contact information, and always call us if you want something, you want to need to know something more. I've been doing nonprofit work for years, and this board does a beautiful job. I'm very fussy about compliance with the IRS, et cetera, so we do
Good thing.
everything by the book.
We appreciate that.
And we just love working with the city, and Bill has been a jewel to work with, as well as all of his staff. So I especially want to thank you, our commissioners, for what you've done. You've dedicated a lot of time to this, and the comment I made at the beginning, it starts at the top and filters down, and that's why we have so many beautiful parks. So do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Thank goodness you're.
Thank you.
Comment?
Yeah.
We really do appreciate a great deal, all of the effort and time you folks
Oh, yeah.
Thank
put
you.
into the foundation.
It's a lot of work.
Real important part of our park system. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Especially all the donations, the land donations, that was kind of difficult for a while when we were trying to figure all that out.
A
And that's-
lot of parks utilized it, Centennial Trail, everything,
Yeah.
just trying to get
That's been a
through
big deal.
everywhere we needed the help.
Yes, and all those other nonprofits that you mentioned, whether it be the Tubbs Hill Foundation or the Centennial, we all collaborate and share and refer people back and forth. So it's a great community, it really is.
Okay.
I'll
Well,
lay
thank
these
you
over
very
there.
much.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Appreciate you coming down this evening.
Thank you. A special thank you to Bill for all you put up with that.
Thank you. So I have to tell you something, Commissioners. We almost lost this foundation a few years ago. We had a board well, I don't even know if she was the president, but nonetheless, it came off the rails a little bit, and it was getting very close to dissolving. And it was Tinka and Sandy's passion that kept this thing afloat. And so real kudos to them, because Tinka came in and said to me, gosh, what can we do? We looked at some options. Sandy got involved, and it was these two gals here that were able to keep this thing afloat. And not only is it floating now, it's actually steering the right course. So, really thanks to them for keeping it alive. And, they've worked on a lot of stuff. The swinging benches out here, for example, all of those went through this foundation. So Tinka spearheaded all of that. We worked it out with the contractor, do the installation and all that stuff. But again, they're so integral in what we do. They're a great blessing. So I just wanted to tell them thanks.
Yeah,
Excellent.
absolutely.
Okay.
I did have one thing.
Yes, yeah.
I did want to just share a moment of thought for the loss of Chris Gugamus this week. It was it's a huge deal. I'm not sure how we're moving forward with that, but gosh, he was a good Kiwanian friend of several of ours for at least 25 years, if not more, and definitely enjoyed that they called him the Music Man. And if anyone caught the services at St. Thomas, his brother did an absolutely wonderful tribute to Chris. He apologized to the fathers, the priests, and then he put on one of Chris's favorite shirts, and he combed his hair, and he did his best Chris imitation. And I can't say I have ever sat at St. Thomas and heard the place break out in laughter, but they absolutely did, and it was a wonderful set-off, and we'll miss him greatly.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Miss Kay, I will tell you that I had a conversation with Chris shortly before he passed away. He really wanted to start a fund so that
Can't hear from the audience.
Yeah. Please come back up to the microphone, Tinka.
I had a conversation with Chris before he passed away, and he really wanted us to try to help him start a foundation so that his music could go on. And I told him we would be more than happy to open up a line item, a special account, whatever. But his brother was going to work on trying to do some legal things. And I said, we are not of the manpower to put on the concerts, to find the musicians, et cetera. But if there's someone that would do that, we'd be happy to hold the funds and see how that would go. So of course, he passed away too soon before they had that all detailed in a legal document. But we're still there to help if somebody did come up from the community and want that to happen. It would have
I'd
to
be
be.
ashamed to see that go away.
It sure would.
Oh, I know, and he was so talented and had all those connections to the musicians, which I don't have and nobody does, so he had, don't you wish you could download his brain and give it to somebody? So, thank you for your nice comments, he was an asset to our community.
Yeah.
So I was contacted by several people about Chris, and one family that has known Chris for a numerous 20-plus years, she told me he would go to their house for Thanksgiving, Christmas, that kind of relationship, so more than friends, family, really. And I gave her some options about what we could do to recognize, memorialize Chris. And so we talked about a tree and a plaque maybe near the band shell. Something that would say something about the Music Man or whatever it might be. But so there are people that are in the background working on some of this. And as far as someone picking up the baton that has been dropped by Chris about his concert series, there are some folks in the background looking into that as well.
Okay.
Good to know.
That's good to hear. Okay. Okay, we're at the end of the agenda. So we've got just a couple of announcements as far as meetings coming up. We currently have a workshop scheduled for November 1st at 11:30 in the morning. And our next Park and Recreation Commission meeting will be Monday, November 14th, here in the library. So
Thank
with
you.
that, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion to adjourn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening.